but then I got
Are you
insecure.
proposing a merger?
No, I'm just saying
Do you want to be a
doing
co-host
it.
of the Automate and Grow podcast?
I'll co-host some episodes with
Will
you.
you?
That'd be fun. We should do a
Why
pilot.
don't we do one a month?
Yes, let's
I'm
do
serious.
it.
Let's do it.
That would be so fun.
Okay, everybody hear it here first.
Yes.
This
We
is
can
how all
release it on
boats
both
rise.
channels.
Yeah. Totally.
Automate, grow, and pivot.
Yeah, I think it's like a win-win because
I agree.
I think part of understanding if you're on the right path or if you're doing something that everybody else is doing or something that's old, right?
Yes.
I've said over the last 3 months for people that get kind of upset about it, nostalgia is not a strategy.
Ooh, that's good.
So part of that is being willing to recognize when the thing is crushed. It's crushed. You're done with it.
Yeah.
Or it's time to crush it.
It's time to crush it.
Right?
So good.
It's like, it's over. So I think you have to be willing to, pivot to me is moving forward. That's what it really is. It's because pivot sometimes is, people think it's a 180, right?
Right. And it's not a 180. That's so
10
true.
Or a 20. It might be a 90.
The funny thing about it is that the funny thing about all pivots that are successful is that they're right under your feet. In hindsight, you say, oh, that's so obvious. Of course, that's meant to be the next thing, or this is the next opportunity. And a lot of people said to me, I feel like my whole life and career has been preparing me for this. And you can't know that until it hits you. But then in hindsight, you're like, duh, this is so obvious. Why did I struggle with this for months and years?
It's like when you have those sleepless nights over something you're thinking about and trying to sort out. And then it's like, oh, that was nothing.
Right. or the answer comes to you in a flash.
I did really well.
Yeah. Or it's this intractable problem. And I always think when I hit a wall, I'm like, okay, I ask for a nonlinear breakthrough. So I think a lot of times we think about growth and we assume that it's going to be this linear, long, hard slog. Even how you're writing your books is inherently nonlinear because you're not saying, oh yeah, this is going to be a 3-year journey. Every author tells me it takes 3 years. You're going to bang this thing out in 2 months. And nonlinear breakthrough would say, what's the hockey stick here? And it doesn't just mean revenue or growth metrics, but really what's this like hockey stick opportunity or out of nowhere serendipity that's going to come into play, that's going to reorient everything in a way that I can't even predict. And certainly, of course, 2020.
How do you get the escape velocity? Right?
Well, that's a good question.
Because
and then,
otherwise you're just here, but you don't get this part until you like, what's the breakthrough? And you don't know intellectually what it is. It's just honestly grunting.
It's what?
It's grunting through it and smashing things.
Or not. Or you say, I think just being open to that kind of breakthrough is already something because you're already dropping the story that it's going to be a hard slog.
Yep. I agree.
And then it's like, what if, I think just asking that question is really powerful and letting it come in its own perfect timing somehow.
Yeah. I don't believe you can be passive and you can have, because opportunity is 2 things. You can just be smashing things and you will miss the opportunity. You can be passive and you won't get any opportunity and you might miss the opportunity. So I think you got to have that, again, self-awareness and balance and understand what you're looking for, which is what you're saying, be aware of it. At the same time, you just need to throw, nonstop darts and stop the introspection. Right? You're going to hit enough if you're throwing a million darts. If I'm throwing 1 dart and I want a bullseye, that's cool. But if I throw a million at that same board, which people are like, that's impossible. No, there's a way to do it. Just figure out how to throw a million darts. And they're all going to the same target.
Right. And as you said, then we become less attached to any one dart. Like imagine this dart is everything. This 1 dart, these are all my hopes and dreams. It's too much pressure. So I love the idea. And it's the pilot section of Pivot where it's like, just line up some pilots, take the pressure off, make them small enough that you're not afraid to try. And then they're going to show you'll see in the bullseye metaphor, you'll see where they land. But to put pressure on any one solution just doesn't work.
Your savior solution?
Well, what'd you say?
The savior, the one that's going to save you. The
right.
savior's here, but everybody's waiting still for Godot, right?
Yeah, I have a savior. I often am like, one of my secret goals is that Pivot or one of my books tips into such crazy royalties that the royalty checks just pay my baseline monthly net. And I'm like, the statistical probability of that happening is so small. And it's such a passive way to make income that I feel it's kind of a cop out, but it's my savior fantasy in my business is like, wow, the book royalties just go nuts.
So if you switch that to what we were saying, which is how do we make that happen?
Yeah,
Because in the end, that is attention.
that's
That's the
true.
attention that you need, because the book, as you know, is really just a function of how many people see you, hear it, and how many you get in front of. So it's like, what are you willing to do that? I think is what
Yeah.
the real question is, because it probably is possible. Um, it's just like, are you willing to invest? Because you're like you were talking about, you're putting your own money on the line, probably.
Well, that's what's so funny though, is that I had put a lot of money up
Yeah.
front to get it in front of more people. And then it didn't, it clearly was off or the timing was off. And then I also think the measure of attention is word of mouth. When somebody finishes the book, are they going to tell a friend? And that to me is always the guideline for me, even with my podcast. I could ask you, hey, will you go send this episode to a friend? But I know the ones that I listen to, the shows I listen to, when it's a good conversation, I proactively send it to a friend.
True.
And that's always what I'm going for in terms of the content is this good enough that somebody will, of their own accord, want to send it to somebody they know? That's my measure of
So
success.
but I think that if you're really serious about that outcome, that's only one traffic source.
That's true.
So I think what you really do is you come up with a traffic and conversion plan and you go full bore into it, because you've already shown you're willing to put money in these physical events, and I'm really good at physical events and live events.
Yeah.
And sometimes digital, you think too much. But I think this is how something starts, which is we go, hey, look, let's do an episode a month. You have audience, I have audience. Who else can we collaborate with?
Yeah.
And what are we going to do to promote this? Which is
Yeah.
word of mouth, is we know one thing. How can we spur that to be more word of mouth? What are we doing with ads? What are we doing around getting other podcasts? How do we collaborate to co-promote, pivot, when we're out there? And then we do events and stuff, because I think that's the if your thing is to make the book the revenue source and whatever else comes through it, then make it happen, right? You
Yeah.
know how to make systems. Now you just need like a bigger, like a proper system, because it's not a system if it's just word of mouth.
Yeah.
So I think
It's
what
a
you're
big
talking
reality
about, I would
check.
love to help you any way that I can. I love what you
Oh,
write about.
thank you.
And I'm
Thank you.
serious. Like, why don't we do one episode a month for
Yes,
12 months?
I'm down. Let's try that.
It's a
I would love
12 month investment of
that.
time.
I think we should start with 6 and then reevaluate.
We're going to do 12.
Who
Wait, you
knows
don't
if the
like me
planet
already?
will be like burst into a ball of flames 12 months from now? You know what I mean?
We're going to do 2 a month for 6 months? Or
12, you have 12 in your mind. I'm
I
into
don't
it.
know why.
I would do 2 a month,
Would
but
you?
I think I like starting with some small enough. It's not that you can't continue, but I like seeing whatever. We'll figure it out.
No, I think, you know what? I think it's just like, let's just do it. I'm
Yeah,
down. I don't know
do.
why, but I think
And
it makes
I
sense.
know. I think so too. It'd be really fun. I always like the dynamic. I brought on a co-host for when the pandemic hit of a doctor in my momentum community. His name's Dr. Michael J. Consuelos. And we've now co-hosted just kind of by the seat of our pants,
No way.
13, 14 episodes during the pandemic. And it's been a lot of fun. It's like, I'm so used to
Awesome.
solo hosting, but it is so fun to see what the other person comes up with. And I would love to try this, especially
Okay,
given
we're
your
gonna do it.
topic. And
So everybody that is
I love
watching,
it. You heard it
you're
here
here
first.
first. So this is
Yeah,
like totally organic. We didn't talk about this before.
that's true. We've never met before.
No, we haven't. That's funny.
I
We've
just
only met by email. So
rescheduled on you multiple times so I
yeah,
could
we go
interview
through it.
Nako to come full
That's great
circle.
though. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks for understanding.
Did I
So
interview?
yeah, it's
I
cool. I
rescheduled
love
like
when
4 client meetings to finish my Daryl Davis conversation.
you did.
Well,
That's
because we
awesome.
planned 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, but you
I
gotta
say
go with
I
the
planned.
flow. Yeah.
And if you met him, have you heard him speak?
No, I'm gonna listen to the episode
Listen to
now
the
though on
episode.
your
It's long.
podcast.
I'm not gonna lie. And he gives me like the blow by blow, his take on the
Wow.
world, right? From what is going on, and who better, you know? Um, my takeaway from that, which I kept probably overemphasizing, is this is the conversation that needs to happen constantly, en masse, right? Um, and so I just had it. I just kept going. So I don't,
Amazing.
yeah. But You know, I
I'm
think you have to
excited
be
to
willing to
listen.
do that. So that's the same thing. It's like I canceled like 4 meetings as we were talking. I'm like, nope, you're bumped.
That's so funny. Well, I can't wait to know who our first triumvirate guest is going to
Yeah, we
be
got to think about
of
that.
this triangle of greatness. Yeah.
I will review your podcast and you can review who
Y'all
I've
do the
had.
same. And we should think about who we both would be like equally just excited and delighted.
Compare like dream lists.
Yeah. So,
And then we'll just make it happen.
yeah. And we could take listener requests too. So if you're listening or watching this and you have a nomination,
Oh
let
yeah,
us know.
because that would probably be a good idea. That's how you got on the podcast. So
Dory Clark. I mean, Dory's the best.
Dory,
Dory is
Rockstar,
the
thank you,
best.
Dory. Okay, I'm sure we went way over what we planned time wise. So I will wrap with a few things. First of all, how do people get in touch with you?
You can find me at pivotmethod.com. If you're an entrepreneur, check out pivotmethod.com/founder time. I created a free mini course called Free Up Founder Time. And Pivot with Jenny Blake is the name of my podcast.
I love it. If you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, who do you, Jenny, spend the most time with?
My husband, my dog Ryder, Dory Clark, and 2 TBD. Who do I spend the most time with? I mean, my friend Petra here in New York.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And now just person number 5 is Zoom calls
Well, there you go.
combined.
I spend the most time on Zoom.
Yeah,
I love
we
it. Great
all do now.
answer. How are you, Jenny, changing the world?
I'd like to think that I simplify complexity and help bring some order to the chaos that we talked about at the beginning. And whenever I go through something tough, to share my process in a way that can create shortcuts or minimize the stress for others.
I love it. That's a great answer, and that's super helpful to people. So I want to acknowledge you for writing Pivot, and I think you should
Thank
fight
you.
for it and not ditch it.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for your vote.
We'll collaborate and figure out who we're going to talk to on our first collaborative episode in the future. I guess this technically is the first one, but
I can't wait. I can't wait. And I can't wait to follow your book progress as well and have you on the Pivot podcast.
you can smack me around a little bit and say, finish it.
Yeah, exactly. It's been 25 days, Michael. Is it done yet?
Yeah, no. It's like 80% done.
When's your goal to get it out?
Last month, like this month, I don't know.
Last month.
Pretty soon.
Okay. Any day now.
I think I would like to have it before my birthday, which is August 15th.
Okay.
Because my last book was my gift to myself on my birthday in 2017. So yeah, why not another one?
I love it. A Leo book.
A Leo book.
Birthday.
That's right. Have to start a publishing company called Leo Publishing.
Yeah.
We're absolutely not
Leo Libris.
Is that what when's your birthday?
October.
What's a Libra? Oh, you are? Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Libra
do you
sun.
self-publish, by the way? I forgot to ask.
No. Running Press was my first publisher, now a division of Perseus, and then Penguin Random House Portfolio was the second one.
Oh,
but I'm working on a book now based on podcast transcripts, and I most likely will self-publish that one. So I'll be curious to know who you're using and how you're doing it.
I just did it myself. I don't like asking.
Through what though? Are you creating a physical version?
Oh yeah.
So through what? CreateSpace or some hybrid house?
Oh no, I just use Kindle.
Cool. Super cool.
Kindle Direct is like super.
What about Automate and Grow? Was that same thing?
That's what I did to Automate and Grow through. I mean, no one's beaten down my door to publish this other one, but maybe I'm just not asking.
You never know. Yeah, I mean, if you don't ask, unless it becomes like a viral smash sensation, which does happen.
How much money am I going to put into ads? That's what it boils down to.
That's true. That's so true. Nowadays, that's exactly what it is.
All right, we'll wrap with one final thing, which is when we have interesting people on the podcast, despite the fact you're going to come back and do stuff with me, we like you to nominate other interesting people. That's how you're on the podcast. I only have had one person cry about this, so.
Cry?
I don't
on
know.
air?
No, I wish.
So I will think of someone for you.
You can't name them now?
I'd like to circle back on this. No, because I actually want to put thought into it. I actually want to reflect, digest, check out your show. I want to like really curate a great fit.
Who's the first person that comes to your mind?
Well, the first person is Mike Michalowicz, who is a systems ninja with his companies. And he has created the stack that you're talking about
Oh,
of he has a parent company, Obsidian Launch, that and then his each book that comes out, actually he licenses to a different business owner. So exactly as you described, he's the one that um, kind of gets out of the way. He likes to be the idea guy, the thought leader, but he doesn't necessarily need to be the operator of each of the businesses that relates to his books. And I'm sure maybe you know Profit First is
okay.
one of his most popular books. And
Oh,
then Clockwork is epic. His new one is called Fix This Next. The reason I hesitated is that I've been recommending Mike for so many things. I don't know if
oh
he's
no,
annoyed at
really?
me.
Oh,
I
well.
don't know if he's like, if he's going to be like,
He's
Jenny,
like,
get
stop
off my
bothering
case.
me. Wait,
Yeah. So I'm
so
hesitant. I don't want to overdo it, but he is awesome. And maybe you could even interview him for your book in progress.
we can
And
interview him together, and I'd be happy to do that.
yeah, we could interview him together. Oh, yeah. I think you'd really, and he has a podcast too. So we can even do a three-way recording
Down with that.
and release.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna probably say your name incorrectly, but Mike Michalowicz?
Yeah. Mike Michalowicz.
Michalowicz. Okay.
Yeah.
Mike Michalowicz, you have been provisionally nominated to be on our future
Don't be
co-hosted
mad at me,
episode.
Mike. I just love you and your work. Don't hate me.
Wow, I'll be the
He's
judge.
like,
We'll see. No, it sounds great. I'm just looking at what he does, and we accept that nomination first of all. And if you want to do it together, let's do it together.
check out Fix This Next. I've had him on Pivot. I would absolutely have another
Okay.
conversation, especially about this stack topic that you brought up. I think he is so
Profit first.
fascinating how he's thinking about his IP. And definitely check out, and especially those of you listening to this show, if you love automating and growing, you got to read Profit First is a must. Let's get that out of the way. And then Clockwork and then Fix This Next. So good.
This is a
Such good
wonderful,
systems
wonderful
thinking.
on the spot, under pressure nomination. And I didn't make you cry.
No, you didn't make me cry. It's a win.
Yes. Once, first time today.
If I cry, it would only be tears of joy for how much fun
Good.
we've had.
Yeah, this has been great. So I want to thank you very
Yeah.
much for spending time with me. I'm excited about the opportunity to
Thank you,
work with you a little
Michael.
bit.
Likewise.
And happy to help you with what you're doing with your future book and your past
Thank you, you
book. And,
too.
all right, so this has been maybe the last ever solo episode of no, I'm kidding. This has been another episode of Automate and Grow. We will see you in a future collaborative episode of Automate and Grow, hopefully with Mike.
Yes. Can't wait. Thank you so much, Michael. Thanks everybody for listening, watching, and DC for making this connection.
Thanks, Tori.
Thank you, Dory.